So this website is just one of the sites where you can find characters and animations. I like it. Let's use it for this tutorial, okay? So when you create your account, you then can browse through all these characters and just choose which character you like. It doesn't matter, although I didn't test them all and I'm not sure that they all work great, but probably yes. So you can choose any character you like. Then when you choose your character, and I'll be choosing this guy over here. Yeah, this is my guy. It reminds me of the Chronicles of Narnia. Do you remember the movie? Yeah, so I like him. Okay, so you choose your character and then you go to the animations tab, and here you can see a lot of animations. So first you can just click through and see different animations, but for this tutorial we're gonna use some very simple animations. So here in this search bar, I'm gonna start with the idle animation first. And again, we have many idle animations. So let's choose the one that I like most. We have this one, very, very basic. We have this one, ready to fight. Let's just choose this idle position. And by the way, if you want to see your character in details, then you can zoom in and out with your mouse wheel, and you also can rotate it like this just to look around your character. So when you select the idle animation, you then need to go here, download, and then download it with skin first, because that means that it will download with the mesh, with the skeleton mesh, with the character itself. So then you click download. I found out that it's not always work perfectly with the first animation, so you need to download these idle animation without skin as well, because sometimes Unreal Engine doesn't recognize that there is an animation inside the file. So just choose without skin and download it again. For the next animation we need walk. All right, so what about walking? I need something pretty basic. Okay, that's happy. That's too much. Maybe just like this. Okay, it's not bad, but you see that the character is moving straight, and in this case we need to check this in place checkbox, just like this, and then you can see the animation. Let's see what else we have, because I remember something a bit more interesting than that. Again, in place. Yeah, I think this one. Okay, that's fine. So again, click download. Don't forget to click this checkbox in place, and without skin. So you need to download with skin just once to download the character itself, and after that all other animations you download them without skin. Again, download. And next animation is run. Maybe that's too active. That was this one. This run works fine for me, but you can choose any. All right, again, without skin, download. Okay, and for our final animation, we need jump, but let's type jump first. So actually jump is a very complex animation, because you can see that it consists of different phases, like when the jump starts, then when the character is in the air, and then the character meets the ground. And there will be another tutorial where we'll be discussing this jump animation thing. But to do something really basic that will look like jump, we need falling. Okay, and not the falling like this type of falling. You need to type fall a loop because I have checked this one and it worked pretty good. Very simple. We will do the simple jump first, and then after you get comfortable with the process, I'll show you how to make a real jump. I'm gonna create a new project, but it's not necessary. You can keep working with the same project. Let's just push escape and go to the content browser. If you don't see the content browser, you can go to window and then content browser and select the content browser. Now let's find the folder with characters, open it and find, and here we have two folders. We need another one. So new folder, I'm gonna call it my character, but you can give it any name. We're gonna import all the files that we have downloaded to this folder. All right, so here is the files that I have downloaded. I did one thing. You remember that we have downloaded the idle animation in two variations. The first one was with skin and the other was without skin. So the one with skin I called character, and the one without skin I called idle. And the others, I didn't change their names, so that's the names that the website gave them. First, you go with a file that contains idle animation and skin, idle animation and character. In my case, it's this file. So I'm going to drag and drop it here. You need to check the skeletal mesh. Here, the skeleton should be none. Okay, and then import all. You might see a lot of errors, which is fine. Just click clear. So you can see a lot of different files here. The main files, so we have textures, we have normal map, we have materials, we have character, and if you hover over file, you can see a description like skeletal mesh or animation sequence in this case. Okay, so I see that the animation was imported here. So we have this idle animation and we have the character himself. Perfect. Let's go to the other animations then. I'm gonna delete this idle animation because we have successfully imported it. So I'm gonna just select these files and drag and drop them here. Okay, and that's important. We need to select the skeleton of the character, not the mannequin. Okay, all right, that's correct. Import all. Again, you can open each of these animations and you can take a look at them. Okay, now it's time to organize it a bit, but first don't forget to click Save All. It will ask you, do you want to save everything? And yeah, you do. Okay, now let's organize it a bit. So first, right click and select a folder. So I'm gonna call this folder Materials, or maybe Textures. Let's call it Textures. And I'm gonna select all the textures here and just drag and drop it like this, move here. Okay, great. And the other folder, again, new folder, this time animations. And I'm gonna choose all the animations that we have. So this one, this one, this one, and this one. Move here. Okay, so now we have the skeleton, physics asset, and skeletal mesh here. If you want, you can put them to the other folder, but I'm fine with this. Now it's time to create a blueprint. So let's right click here and select animation, and then find animation blueprint. So basically, animation blueprint is a script where you can manage your animation. So here you can choose your character and click create. Let's rename it to animation blueprint. So ABP, animation blueprint, and then character. I'm gonna open it. So it opens in a separate window, but what you can do, you can drag and drop it like this. I think it's more convenient. So what we see here, we see anim graph and event graph. If you have tried blueprints before, you know what event graph is, and anim graph is kind of a new thing for you, right? So what it has, it's output pose, and that means the result. So it's final animation pose for this graph. We also see our character in the T pose, and we see functions, variables, and all the other tabs that we usually see when working with blueprints. We're gonna create some logic here. First, we're gonna check if the character is inside the game. And for this, we're gonna use node, which is called is valid. Okay, this one is valid. If you hover over this node, you can see it determines if an object is valid. And what it means, it checks if the object is usable. Okay, so this is true or false, Boolean. It consists of the input, the output, and this place where we can select the object. Okay, because we need to check the object, so we need to tell it what object to check. So I'm going to select this node and connect it like this. This node is called try get pawn owner. I think you know what pawn is. It's this thing in chess, and basically in our case it means character. So why are we using this node? When dealing with animations, we need data to accurately display animations, right? For example, how fast the character is moving, velocity. What is the orientation of the character? Is he supposed to be dead? And so on. The animation blueprint is always attached to a skeletal mesh component. And since it's a component, it will obviously be attached to something, an actor as well. So we try to get this something with this node, which is called try get pawn owner. We take this and we put it here, and now it knows that it needs to check this object. Then we need to check if character is in air. Why we need it? Because, as I said, we won't be doing an advanced jump animation, but we will be doing some jump animation. And in this case, I just need to check if the character is in the air, because if it is, then I want to see the falling animation. And if the character is not in the air, then obviously I don't want to see it. And so to do this check, what we need to do is to create a new node. It is called get movement component, this one. And then from here, we can do another function, which is called is falling. Okay, so you can see it's pretty simple. You don't need to create a separate script where you will be describing what to fall means. You can just take the function and use it. So if you hover like this, you can read that this function returns true if currently falling, Boolean value, right? And what we can do, we can get this value. We can right click here and then select promote to variable. And now we have this variable. This new variable was created and we can see it here in the list of the variables. Let's rename it. Right click, rename in air. Okay, and then we're gonna connect this node to this one like this, because this checking affects if we need to have this variable or not, right? I'm just gonna click clear here for now because I don't want this window. Okay, and then the next thing that we need to do, you remember that we have downloaded idle, walking, and running animations. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna blend these animations together so that we have this, smoothless transition from idle to walking to running. And to control this blending transition, we need to know the speed of the character, right? But actually it's not speed, it's velocity. And what velocity is, it's speed and direction. So velocity, get velocity. So velocity is the speed in each axis, meaning it's the speed and direction. And to get the speed in a specific direction, we need to get the length of the vector, because velocity, it's not a number, it's a vector. So it returns some value. You can see it's yellow color, and when you're creating a node, it says vector here, vector length. Okay, and it returns some value, and we're again gonna promote it to variable. And you can see the type of the variable is float, which means number with decimals. We're gonna rename it, rename speed. And then we need to connect these two together because this check-in is actual for both of these variables. Okay, so we have created some logic here, and let's go back to the animation graph. Let's go back to the animation graph, and here we have this output pose. When you're working with animation, you need state machines. So let's right click, type state machine, and here it is, add new state machine. State machines are systems you can build in order to define certain animations that can play and when they are allowed to play. This type of system is used to connect animations to movement states of your characters, such as idling, walking, running, and jumping. That's just what we need. So we're gonna click here, double click to open. And you can see all state machines begin with an entry point, which is typically used to define the default state. And in most common setups, this would be the character idle state. But in this case, I want to blend idle into walking into running animation. So it's going to be a bit more complicated than that. Let's create a new node, a new state actually, and I'm gonna name it idle, walk, run. And if you open it, you can see that it has its own logic inside, which results in some output animation pose. Right now it's empty. So besides the idle, walk, and run, we need jump animation, right? So let's add the other state, call it jump. And as you can see, now we have this transition from this to this, from idle walk run to jump. I also need transition from jump to idle walk and run, right? So I'm just gonna drag and drop like this and create the other transition. And in the next lesson, let's blend this together. So let's blend this idle walk and run together. To do this, we need to go back to content drawer. You can click here and open the content drawer and go back to the folder, the character, then right click, animation, and let's take a look. We have several blend space types. First is aim offset. And the aim offset meant to contain mesh space additive animations as their samples. Typically, these are used to create weapon or other look at aiming blend spaces. And we also have blend space, which provides all the main functionality of blending animations along the graph. And both blend spaces and aim offsets also support single axis variants. You can see aim offset 1D, blend space 1D. And you need these types when you need only a single axis of blending. And by saying axis, I don't mean physical axis. I mean something. In this case, I'm gonna blend it along speed. And in this case, speed will be our axis. Maybe you don't understand it now, but you will in a sec. So click here to create this type of file. Select our character. Let's rename it to blend space, which is BS, and then idle walk. Okay, great. Let's click save. Save selected. Double click to open. So this is blend space. We have axis settings here. Let's click here, and you can see that we have the power to create any name and any values for the axis. And in this case, we have only one because we have selected 1D type. Okay, so I'm gonna give it a name speed because, as I mentioned, I want to blend it depending on the speed. Minimum is 0 and maximum is I'm gonna put 500, but 500, but you can put any value that you want and then just play with it. And now here you can see that the axis is now named speed, and we can manage it here. Our animation starts with idle, so I'm gonna drag and drop it here. This is the idle animation. If you click here, you can then manage the speed, and I'm gonna put 0 because we need it to be in the beginning of the axis. Then next one is walking. Again, just drag and drop, select, and here you can choose any number. I will choose 150, and then slow run will be the end, which is 500. Okay, perfect. Let's click save, and now we can click, you can see that we can click play and pause to demonstrate the animation, but we don't see anything now. That's because we need to hold control to set the preview point. So I'm gonna click play, so it should be playing, and then hold control like this, and you can see the green cross here, and you can see that my character is moving just like this. Perfect. If you don't like it, you can click pause, then select a point that you are not happy with and change to other number. Let's see, again, play, and then control. Okay, I think I will go back to 150. Okay, just like this. Okay, save. And that's it for the blend space. Let's go back to the state and connect the blended animation. So here you're gonna double click, open it, you'll see the output animation pose. And here in this asset browser, you'll find our file that we have just created, blended space. So let's drag and drop it. If you don't see the asset browser, you can go Window and find asset browser here. Yeah, here it is. So just check this and you'll see it. So this is the blend space and it has speed, but the name doesn't mean anything. I could have named it 1, 2, 3 and we'll see this name, but I called it speed, so we have speed. But to really determine this property, we need a variable, right? And as you remember, we have created the speed variable here in this event graph. So let's drag and drop it like this, get speed, and now we have the speed. It's float, that means that it's number with decimal, and just connect it like this. Now we have real speed. And even if you call this thing inside blend space 1, 2, 3 or anything else, it doesn't matter, just because we need the speed here. Okay, so I'm gonna connect the pose to the result. Perfect. So let's compile and save. And now for jump, as I mentioned, the jump will be very basic and it's actually just a fall, not a jump. So this fall and loop animation, we just connect it like this. And now we need to work with these transitions. So first is from idle to jump. And in this case, we're gonna use an air Boolean variable. And what it says yes or no, true or false. In air, yes. If yes, then we're gonna see the falling animation, right? So I'm just connecting these two nodes together like this. Compile. Then let's go back and select the next transition from jump to idle. And again, we're gonna use the same variable, but in this case, we need falls, right? In air, falls. No, it's not in the air. So go here and find not. You're gonna see not Boolean. It doesn't mean that it's not Boolean. It means that it's not for Boolean variable. And we're gonna connect it like this. Okay, let's compile, save. You can see that when you're in the process, you can see a lot of errors. But when you're done, all of this gone. And now it's time to change the mannequin to our character. How to do it? We need to go to the content drawer again, find the third person folder, blueprints, and find this blueprint. Okay. We'll go to the viewport. You can see the mannequin. Oh, you can see the mannequin here. And what we need to do, we just need to switch it. Select the mesh here. And then if you go to this tab, you can choose our character mesh. Okay, very good. But it does the T-pose. That's because we need to choose animation class. Let's select this one, ABB character. Okay, nice. Now it's doing the idle pose. Okay, perfect. Let's compile, let's save, and let's go to the game. So I'm gonna click here to go back to the map, and then just click play. Okay, so first of all, here's the character. Very good, very good. So I'm gonna click. Now we can see it's running, first walking, then running, like this, and then go back to his idle position. Now let's see what happens if we jump. Yep, jump. You might say it's not a jump, but it's pretty good. Of course, it's not the best jump is just falling animation, and if we do like this, like fall from a surface, we'll see the same animation like this, but still good. Let's now add a real jump.